Hey guys, today is Tuesday, November 16th, and I've lost track of time basically. The past 2 weeks has been kind of rough, so I thought I'd do a video right now while the baby's sleeping of our labor and delivery story, just for our memory's sake and for anyone who's interested. I think the last time I made a video, we were going to the doctor on Thursday the 28th of October for our appointment. We were almost 41 weeks, 40 days, 40 weeks and 5 days pregnant. Basically at that visit, we saw the nurse practitioner and she basically said we didn't have any other option, that we were overdue and we needed to be induced. So she didn't even give us an option as far as like what day or I asked her if my doctor was on call any of the days, and she kind of avoided that, saying she didn't know when the doctors were on call. So the nurse came back and said basically we're scheduled for the next morning, which was Friday morning, October 29th at 5:30 in the morning. We had to be at the hospital to be induced. So David and I, the night before, my sisters arrived, and we went out for one last dinner at a Mexican place. And that night we didn't get much sleep. We were really anxious and nervous about the next morning, so I think I got a total of like 2 hours sleep and David got a little bit more maybe. We had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. We were running a little bit late. We got there I think at 5:40, and there wasn't really a lot of people there or anything. I mean, that early in the morning. They put us in like this little triage area where they had multiple beds separated by curtains, but there wasn't really anybody around. So we were just like the only ones there, sitting in bed anxiously awaiting what the plan was. So the nurse came in, basically she checked me and said I was like 1.5 centimeters dilate. And like the day before, the nurse practitioner said I was like 3 or something. I don't know. Everyone has a different opinion, I guess. So she said she'd call the doctor and see the doctor who was on call and see what they wanted to do. And I was planning on, starting with Cervidil or some kind of cervical ripening agent. And the doctor came back and basically told the nurse that she wanted to start me on Pitocin instead of the cervical ripening agents because we were already 80% effaced and somewhat dilated. So I guess with the Pitocin, it gives the doctor the option of stopping, or it's a more controlled induction method, whereas like the Cervidil or other cervical ripening agents are kind of, you put them in and once they're kind of there, and if the baby's not tolerating the contractions well, it's kind of hard to manipulate that medication. So she started on Pitocin instead because she could stop and start it depending on how the baby was reacting to contractions. So they start Pitocin on 2 units and they increase the dosage 2 units about every half an hour, but I think it was a little bit less in the beginning and more towards more frequently towards the end. I think they start the Pitocin like 9 o'clock, and I have a short video clip of me in the hospital, and I was planning on doing multiple ones, but only got to do one. So I'll insert that.
Go.
It's Friday, October 29th, and we arrived at the hospital at 5:30 this morning. It's now 2:38, and we've been getting Pitocin since about, I guess, I don't know, 8 o'clock, would you say? And they've been started the dosage at 2, and they increase by 2 every half an hour, depending on how I respond. We're at 10 now, and I'm still really not feeling any pain. I have some contractions, but no pain. So the baby's tolerating it so far, and I've been trying to get up, move around, and change positions, but we'll see.
Anyway, so they started at 9 o'clock or 8:30, 9 o'clock at 2 units, and oh, before I want to tell you, when they put my IV in, they basically tried to put my IV in the left arm because that's I'm right-handed, and it makes more sense to put in the left arm, so I'd be able to like move my right arm and hold the baby and stuff. But the nurse that put it in, the vein that she put in, she said that she hit a valve, and I had no idea what that meant. And she kept saying, I'm trying to get past it, I'm trying to get past it. And I hate needles, and it was a little bit painful, but no, I was dealing with it. And yeah, so she's basically said she hit a valve, and then she said she was going to call another nurse. And so then another nurse came in and started putting IV in my right arm, and she took like less than 2 minutes, and she had it in, and it wasn't painful at all. And the lady that was doing my left arm, she just basically put a band-aid over that, and I guess she had a valve, so they couldn't get past it, so they couldn't put the IV in that arm. It was a little bit sore throughout the my labor and delivery, but I didn't realize how bad it was going to get once I went home. My arm, like from my entire forearm, from my wrist to my elbow and left arm, was like black and blue, purple and green, and all kinds of bruised, and it hurt like so bad. I actually ended up calling the doctor's office and asking if something was wrong, and I looked it up, and apparently when people put an IV in, they can blow a vein, and basically when they blow the vein, it just takes time to heal, and it's going to be bruised like that. They recommended putting like warm compresses on it and basically just living with it. So now it's like 2 weeks and 2 days past delivery, and my arm is still black and blue. I don't know if you guys can see. I mean, it's much better. You can't, let's see, it's hard to see, but I mean, it basically went all the way around. It was on this side too. Well, anyway, you get the gist. It was pretty bad. Anyway, so enough of the IV. Then basically we got the Pitocin and started at 2, and David and I were just sitting around, and then we finally got moved into our labor and delivery room, and the Pitocin was fine. I wasn't feeling the contractions. I was having contractions, and they were showing on the monitor, but I really wasn't feeling them. I felt like the tightening of my stomach, kind of like the Braxton Hicks contractions that I was experiencing, but it really wasn't any pain. Of course, they had me hooked up to a fetal heart monitor. They also had the contraction belt on me, and my biggest concern with my birth plan was, one, I didn't want to be induced. I had no option, so I was induced, and with induction comes strict monitoring of the baby. So I had the belt on, although I think that they routinely put the fetal monitor belt on everyone that comes in, and that was a source of a lot of conflict during labor. I want the baby to be safe, and I had no trouble with, you know, intermittent fetal monitoring. It's just the continuous monitoring. If it wasn't going to enable me to move around, and they told me that they had a portable one available and I needed to ask or something, but when I asked, they were like, no, we don't have any at this hospital. So basically I kept stressing that I want to be able to stand up at least, and because I wanted the help of gravity, and I wanted to use the birthing ball, and I just wanted to be free to move around. So in the beginning, they had me laying in bed. They said they just wanted to see the baby's heart rate and see how I was doing, and the baby's heart rate was kind of it was fine. It was within the 110 to 160 range that they want. It was around 120 all the time, but it was very like flat. It would just stay like between 118, 116, 122. It wasn't like varying a whole lot, and apparently they want variability in the heart rate to show that, I don't know, the baby's active or something. But if you have me laying in bed for 6 hours or something, the baby's going to be sleeping, so it's not going to have a crazy heart rate. The heart rate's not going to be all over the place.